on the tread of a step when they're 18, 19 inches long. So luckily, I came down to my final step. This doesn't happen often, but it happened today. Top of my step was right in line with our sidewalk. So I got that lucky. Had this not have been in line, I have some wiggle room here. I can finagle this step higher or lower. I can move the walk up or down, in or out. So we could
We do tend to get quite focused on finishing work in time and budget and to quality parameters, but safety is paramount, as the acting CEO mentioned before in his report, to what we do every day, and that's just not with our own workers, but contractors and of course the general public that interact with our projects. So something we will address moving forward. The rest of the report is quite self-explanatory. There's quite a lot of work going on around the region, which you'll see from some of the data in there and the ongoing projects that are outlined in section 2.3. And I just would like to say we do have a lot of works and fairly major works happening in and around the CBD, particularly East and South Mackay. A lot of those are involving road closures or partial closures at the moment, a lot of them involving quite significant road reconstructions and drainage work. So I'd just like to thank my teams and our extended sort of work teams that are working on those projects, our contractors in particular that are working with us very closely to deliver those works and deliver them safely. But also the public who have been quite patient with that work going on around the area, and for the most part the feedback from everyone involved has been very, very positive, and people are doing the right thing in letting that work happen in a safe and timely manner. So I'd just like to point that out, and you know, with all the increased activity with NRL games that we've had recently around that area, it certainly has been noticed. So I'll put that forward as the report, and
thank you, Director.
Happy to take questions.
Are there questions? Councillor Mann.
Electronic page 58, Seagull Street boat ramp, construction likely to be higher than estimate. Just wondering if the Director has any detail around why.
Director.
Yeah, we have some preliminary costings that have come in for part of the work that we're delivering, and that's to do with the marine works, the actual in-water works, which we get a specialist to do. Early indications from some of that pricing is that it may be higher than what we'd originally allowed. So it's a bit of a surprise, but something we're working through. We don't actually have the full quantum of that yet because we haven't got all those quotes in. So we'll bring a report back to Council if and when that's required.
Councillor Mann.
I do have a second part to that, and would we have had a better estimate if this wasn't rushed as an election promise, and we might have had extra time to actually know the proper costs?
I doubt it, but Director?
My comment to that is probably no, because we actually spent quite a lot of time going back and forward, as you might remember, after the consultation with the community. So in terms of time spent having investigations and estimates for the project, I wouldn't have said we would do anything differently, and therefore that wouldn't be the reason I point to. This does happen from time to time. You can only get so much information to inform your estimates, and the estimates we're currently seeing from the market are telling us more than we expected. So, as I said, we don't have all that information yet, and I also don't know what the net impact might be of those increases, so that's why I'm not confident.
And you'll bring that back to Council?
We will bring that back to Council. Yes.
You have a supplementary?
Yeah,
Councillor
don't mind. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So just in regards to the cost on the marine side of things, and that's normally the part that the state normally fund, given that they might be above what was provided in funding, is there an opportunity to go back to the state to get them to fund that?
We wish.
Just for the record.
We can ask, and we have asked with similar sorts of projects before, but it's very unlikely once they give you a number that they will increase that component of the number.
Yeah.
Very diplomatic answer, thank you.
Anyway, I think their contribution ended up being higher than their percentage would have been on that natural split, so I would expect they've said they've already gone above and beyond.
All right, councillor Seymour.
The project status for the Cattle Creek Mill administration, it says the project is now complete. Is that referring to a different project or
Director?
typo?
Sorry, which,
Page 55,
page 55?
project is now complete. Lane back open, that must be fifth lane.
Yeah, sorry, that must be an error. That, I didn't pick that up previously, councillor, so that certainly doesn't refer to the Cattle Creek Mill building.
Oh, yes. No, can't refer to the Cattle Creek Mill, but it's a good project out there, the Cattle Creek Mill building, very good. Okay,
Yeah, so sorry, just to answer the question about Cattle Creek Mill, it is on track to finish in December, so we are looking to have that work complete and that building open by the end of the year.
okay, further questions? Councillor Angle.
Just on the Cattle Creek Mill, Mayor, do we have an intention for the safe that's currently at that location?
I don't know. Director?
Yeah, so we've had the safe taken away so that the building can be, have the asbestos removed and work done to the building, and in that time we had it opened and it's with our locksmiths. They'll hold on to it for us with a view that we put it back in the building, back in the same room that it was in, the clerk's room, and that'll simply be on display so that when we have events or when we use that building, people can see it. And, yeah, it gives a bit of history as to the building, so that'll be the intention.
Thanks, Mayor.
Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Worship. Just on page 43, the replacement of the City Street water main. It's a very big project that we're undertaking, 3.8 million. And I know that it will impact the community in some way around traffic. And I do remember when the pipe actually blew and we saw the water spraying up out of Richmond, and luckily staff were able to fix that in a temporary fix at the time. I'm just curious though if the director can tell me the age of the pipe that we're actually replacing.
Director?
No, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd have to take that on notice and get back to council on that one.
Thank you, Director.
Any further questions? Councillor Bonaventura.
Just on page 35, I note that approximately $2 million of our $3 million underspend is in 5 projects. So just in relation to the Milton Street Archibald Street site, with its public interface and effects on traffic flow, can I ask if the delay to the program will affect the completion date, or if it'll still fit under our contingencies?
Director?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Not at this stage. At this stage, we're expecting the January deadline or the January projected finish date that we have is still going to be met. The contractor Bellwether is working very well and closely with us to bring back some of that time with other activities they're looking to move around and escalate. So we're expecting a January finish at this stage.
And just the same question in relation to the one on the Shakespeare Street East Mackay stage. How are we going with that one? It's another large, I noticed another large underspend.
Director?
Shakespeare Street East?
Yes.
Yep. So that project's happening well. It's C4 Civil are doing that work under contract for us. That's in a similar boat to Milton Street, although we have underspent in month. We're looking to still complete that in January or by January on time.
Excellent. One last question, if I may, Your Worship, just on page 36. The graph on capital status, it just says there's 2 that have been cancelled. Just could you advise the name of the 2 cancelled projects and the reason for their cancellation, please?
Director?
Yeah, thank you, Worship. One of the projects that we cancelled was the footpath at Evans Avenue, North Mackay. It says cancelled because that's the way our system changed it round, but actually the work's not cancelled, the design's still progressing, but it's actually lumped in with another project now because we've designed the footpath, but we have to go back and design the water main that goes along with that piece of work. So the work's still happening, the project's still happening, just that line item that we have in our master list of 700 odd projects has dropped out. The other project is another one at North Mackay, so that was a culvert replacement job. So again, it was design only of that in this financial year. And when we put it on the list and started to design it, we realised that design was actually already completed in the previous year, and that was in error being on our list. So neither projects are really cancelled. One's actually already designed and ready to go, and the other one is being wrapped up in another project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? No further questions? Would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Green moves, Councillor England seconds. Councillor Green.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to acknowledge, along with similar sentiments as the Director, recognising the large amount of significant works going on, particularly around the CBD in the south and the east. The works most impacting the residents of the northern beaches, of course, is no doubt the Glenella Richmond Road Rehabilitation Project. The closure of this road was necessary to ensure the safety and the efficiency of the project, but it has put in order of 5,000 extra vehicles on the Mackay Road, so this has significantly impacted the drive time in the mornings and the afternoons of residents from the northern beaches. But it's a $3 million project that involves the reconstruction of the road between Holtz Road and Havana Road, and it includes extending a number of the existing culverts to suit the road realignment. At the moment, the works are on track, and the estimated completion date is December 2021. So there's another 3 months of pain for residents of the northern beaches. So just asking people to have some patience and plan their times and seek out some alternative routes where possible up to the Golf Links roundabout. The other thing I'd like to bring up is that motorists may have been noticing the construction of a shared pathway alongside the side of Sam's Road to the Roncam Bridge. This is the stage 1 of the Pioneer River North Bank Shared Path project, which once completed in full will provide significant connectivity for major residential areas, commercial precincts, park and recreation areas, and also our principal activity centres in the area. So a great project. At a cost of almost $3 million, Council was successful in acquiring 50% of the funding for the project under the Cycle Network Local Government Grants Program. And the last project I'd like to draw attention to, which Councillor Jones alluded to in her questioning, was the Sydney Street water main replacement work. So this is a project that's about to start, and it will impact pedestrian movement, it will impact parking and vehicle flow along this main street, but it is necessary, and because of the recent burst in the pipeline, it's necessary to sustain the levels of service and the required requirement in the increase in supply reliability to enable the expansion of the CBD and the waterfront priority development area. So that is to run through to January 2022. So again, a little more pain for residents and businesses in our area, but great to see that these major works are occurring.
Thanks very much, Councillor Green. Speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor Boventura speaking for.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd just like to mention a couple of points from the design summary report. Design has commenced and been completed on several notable designs during the month. Boundary Road between Bernborough Avenue and Cowleys Road to urbanise that street frontage in front of the mark, that's been completed. And design deliverables were received for 10 major regional culverts. These were identified as a priority maintenance sites following the detailed inspection report highlighting their structural defects and low serviceability. So that'll be great to have in our back pocket. A couple of notable designs in progress are the Hands Christian Street drainage improvements and the Bowl Street drainage improvements. Just from the Survey Office summary report, the Survey Office report indicates they were very busy with a stack of surveys completed, and you saw them in your list, councillors, including the Havana Park toilet block. Look, one of the certificate projects that is worthy of mention is the renewal program, is the survey of the Nebo Road water treatment plant. And this facility is full of equipment in complex configuration that makes it difficult to show it all in a traditional 2D plan. So the surveyors used a scanner to create a detailed 3D representation, which allows the engineers to navigate the site and take measurements from their office. I say well done to the team, and if there ever an opportunity to have a look at how it works, I'd love to have a look, Director. Just the other one, just in relation to park improvements, I think Council is in the process of delivering a park program. of renewals for our community to provide well-designed parks, open space networks, which cater for changing needs of our community to promote outdoor, social and recreational activities. So it's fair to say that some of the equipment in these playgrounds has been in service for more than the recommended operational life and is requiring replacement. And these park upgrades are in various locations within the region. And a couple of examples are the Cane Cutters Drive Park, with stage 1 already completed, and I think it was Councillor Green who mentioned that last month, and stage 2 expected to be completed by mid-September. And also the Cone Street Park at Shoal Point, which is also getting a makeover and should now be open to the public. So, and thank you for the photos of the upgrades, it was great. So, thank you, Worship.
Thanks very much, Councillor Bonagura. The other speakers, Councillor Jones speaking for.
Yes, Your Worship. I just wanted to also add my sentiments in relation to page 51 and the Pioneer River North bank. It's great for our bicycle commuters, but it's also a great general recreation and families alike to get to use it. I know that the more footpaths that we build, Your Worship, the more I see people out and about. Footpaths are a great health and wellbeing piece of infrastructure, and as the saying goes, build it and they will come, and I think that it's great for our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. Are there any other speakers? Other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. 11.3.1, the Community and Client Services Monthly Review for August. Director Hayes.
Thank you, Worship. So during August, the strength of our community facilities and services was really highlighted, with libraries, art space, museums, the Met and the stadium all collectively welcoming more than 45,000 visitors during the month. The Eisteddfod and NRL game and the free community event Unearthed were all strong contributors to this outcome. This figure also included our 96 newest citizens that were welcomed at a citizenship ceremony at the Mackay in early August, and around 100 people who attended the 25-year club dinner to honour the 8 members of the council team who achieved the milestone of 25 years of service to council and the community during the past year. We also saw almost 7,000 people attend library programs and events during the month, which included our Children's Book Week celebrations held at the Botanic Gardens for the first time this year. Our new Active in the Regions Community Health and Wellbeing program kicked off during August with really good attendance actually across the 3 activity locations of Dow's Creek, Finch Hatton and Serena Range. I'd really like to commend the work that's been done by our Sport and Rec officers to provide this opportunity, expanding beyond the city heart. We've also had a strong focus on community safety during the month with our Mackay Region SES groups, putting in a high number of training hours, our environmental health team delivering food safety training sessions for organisations across the region, and our pest management team working with the State Department of Agriculture and Fisheries to track down someone who is advertising illegal cactus for sale through Facebook. This biosecurity risk was addressed as a result of the plants being seized. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Director. It was a good report. Very good reading, this report. Questions for the Director? No questions? Okay, Councillor Bonagura, got a question.
Yeah, just on page 67, in the financial performance report, do the stadium figures get reported under Meccan events? Is that where stadium figures come in?
Director.
Through your worship, it would depend upon the type of expense. So anything that's related to the facility or maintenance, etc., would go through property services. If it's related to an income or expense as a result of an event, that would go through the Meccan.
Okay, good, thank you. Further question, if you won't. Page 100, the dog and other animals customer request numbers for August. Now, while the numbers reduced compared to last month, which I understand was due to animal rego calls, the numbers still seem high. Can you give me some reason as to why it's still up that high, or are we back to what is that a normal level?
Director.
Thank you, Worship. It is still a bit higher than what we normally see, but this is the traditional flow and impact that we would see following the registration period. So we're still seeing higher than normal numbers of people requesting new tags for their animal as a result, or telling us that they no longer have their animal. And we did actually see a little bit of an increase in aggressive and straying animals during the month as well.
One more, if I may.
Certainly.
Just page 106. In relation to the bunding under the Maplethorpe Bridge to contain the spread of water lettuce, what's the plan for the other section, where the water lettuce already is? What's our plan of control?
Director.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. The Parks and Environment program is actually the lead program for looking after the weeds within the Goose Pond area. But they do actually have a plan in place to remove the water lettuce. So that would involve potentially using an excavator or something like that to actually take it out of the goose ponds. So the bunning that's put in is simply containing it and removing if there's any wind events.
Further questions? Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Worship. Just on page 77, I noticed that we have a year-to-date of 318 programs, and 18 of them have actually cancelled. I just wondered if you could give me a bit of an example of some of the types of bookings that were cancelled.
Director.
Thank you, Worship. So we do see at the moment, particularly with some of the COVID messaging that's still happening, particularly with areas down south, that members of the community, when we see those sorts of messages come out, are more reluctant to come and attend programs. So we do often see a lack of registrations in some, or cancellations, which means we no longer have sufficient people coming along to attend. So we've seen more of that over the last month or two than what we normally would. So it's not one specific type of program. It tends to be things like some of the technology-based things that are more often than not.
All right. Any further questions? Thank you, Director. So we'd like to move the report's adoption. Councillor Jones moves. Councillor Townsend seconds. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Worship. I guess the main thing for me was to actually note on page 93 the community engagement in the report. And I note that this month there's been a bit of a change in our geographical destinations, for our projects. Previously we've had quite a lot up in the valley. But this time our Connecting Mackay site is promoting quite the opposite. We have 28 topics on Connecting Mackay at the moment, and out of 25 of them which are active, 21 of them are actually in the general Mackay township. So it just shows that our overall spread is well and truly across all of our region. And once again, as always, I encourage our community to have their say.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jones. Speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor Bella speaking for.
I'm very pleased to note the detection of the person selling that cactus. The one circled in purple in this is actually endemic out on my father's property and causes great injury to animals. I had a horse that received one of those spines in the knee, and eventually we had to destroy him because of it. So having someone selling something like that as a garden plant, most of our issues are things that escape as garden plants, and I would congratulate everyone involved. I think that's wonderful. This one's a little bit back and forward. I really want to thank the SES. I know they talk about the searches that have gone on. Police and SES did actually search my place. I would congratulate them on their conduct and their efforts. I would however say that I'm actually not real happy with this photograph. It is actually of the place of a current murder investigation, and I actually find it a little bit, it shouldn't be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Bella. Are there other speakers? Councillor Bonaventura speaking for the motion.
Thank you, Worship. Look, just about 3 points I'd like to mention. Firstly, to thank the Director for the new table at the bottom of page 75. I enjoy reading what our specialist areas do every month, but this table now gives it context and a clear picture of the extent of what they do. So in August alone, our 4 specialist areas, that's young people services, community outreach programs, digital literacy programs, and the outreach and engagement area, provided 159 sessions that attracted 6,879 attendees. This goes to show we are more than just a library, so thank you. Also like to compliment the staff on our Book Weeks activities, especially the picnic in the gardens. The Botanic Gardens provided a great shade and the right atmosphere for the large number of families that attended to enjoy the activities provided. The key to the success was the willingness of the Botanic Gardens staff to work with the library staff to achieve very good results on the day. And I look forward to the continuation of this event in the gardens. And finally, I can't not mention the Unearthed program. The event was by the Queensland Museum Network at the MEC. This was a free event and it was attended by over 3,000 residents who witnessed science being brought to life through the action-packed program of STEAM. Inspired activities, demonstrations, performances for the whole family. Can I say, I thoroughly enjoyed my visit, especially being able to play a few bars of Silent Night on the potato keyboard. I support the officers.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bonovich. Are any other speakers? No other speakers?
Oh, yes.
Councillor Green speaking for.
Paul, thank you, Your Worship. Just pointing out, as the Director has, about the Active in the Regions program having launched in the last month, and again I'd like to say also that it's great that we're seeing some good steady numbers coming through there, particularly over 35 people enjoying some Pilates up in Finch Hatton. So it is really important that we provide these programs to our outer-lying regions and not just in close to the centres. So great to see that take up. And I'd just like to plug that our Tokyo bronze medal Olympian Ash Maloney will be visiting the Mackay Arc on the 15th of September from 5 to 7 p.m. Ash won Australia's first medal in the decathlon, and he'll be in town to share his story and answer some questions and sign autographs. So if you're a mad keen Olympian or a decathlon fan, please get along and see Ash. And just one more thing I'd like to do is just shout out to the Valley Youth Program. I really enjoyed meeting those guys up there on our Council and Community Day quite a few months ago, and the one thing they were saying is we need more things to do up here, and it's really fabulous that Council, in conjunction with the Valley Youth, are providing some of those great activities, and they're getting some really strong participation. Excellent.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Councillor Green. Any other speakers? Councillor Bella, we'll remove that photograph on page 97 and find a better one.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's no other speakers, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. Righto, so 11.4.1 is the lease to the Bendigo Bank. Now, Councillor May has a prescribed conflict of interest.
Yes, due to my directorship at the Community Bank Serena, which is a franchise to the Bendigo Bank.
You're acting to leave the meeting.
Thank
you very much. I note that Councillor May has a 10-day conflict of interest prescribed and will leave the meeting. 7.4.1 is the lease to the Bendigo Bank, Shop 8, the Dome. I think it's fairly well straightforward. Are there any questions around this? Would somebody like to move? Councillor Englert moves, seconded by Councillor Hassan. Councillor Englert.
Thank you, Worship. Bendigo Bank at the Dome has been there in excess of 15 years. They operate 5 days a week to service the community in what is a pretty good service, considering it's the only one in the Mackay area north of Serena. The request has been for an extra 2 years, and the report says it's the best outcome for both council and the community, so I support the motion.
Thank you. Against? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. Thank you. Ask Councillor May to step back in. (11.4.2) is the lease to the Mackay Regional Housing Company Limited, Shop 12 at the Dome. So we've got two declarable conflicts here, but we're going to test under the Act, which is what we can do. So, Councillor May, you have a declarable conflict?
Yes, as I am one of the council representatives appointed as a director on the Mackay Regional Housing Company, I declare that I have that declarable conflict of interest, and really don't perceive that I have any bias because of that appointment, and will be acting in the best interest of the community.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Mann, you have a declarable conflict?
So same as Councillor May, I am the council appointed director on the Mackay Regional Housing Company. I don't believe that I have any real conflict. I am acting in the best interests of our community as well.
Okay, so under the Act, councillors, the council can elect to have these councillors present if they've declared, but they've said they don't believe they have a within the Act, they don't have a declarable conflict, but they don't believe they have belief that a reasonable person would have a perception of bias because they're appointed as a councillor rep. So we can do that with a motion that the council considers and then votes on. Would somebody like to move? Councillor Englert? You move that...
I do so. Would you like?
Yeah, well,
Okay,
we
so-
need, so for the purpose of recording, we've got one up there, right, very good, here's one we prepared earlier. That Councillor May and Councillor Mann participate in the decision and vote on agenda items 11.4.2, which is the lease of Mackay Regional Housing Company Limited, Shop 12, in the Dome, because both Councillor May and Councillor Mann are appointed to the council, by the council, to represent the council on the board, and therefore, as a reasonable person would trust that the final decision is made in the public interest. Somebody like to second that? Councillor Green seconds. Councillor Englert?
Reserved.
Okay. Is there any debate? No debate? Councillor Mann and Councillor May, you can't vote in this, of course. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? Motion. You're registering against. Councillor Jones registers against. The motion is carried. Thank you.
Speak against it.
So let's move on then. Well, 11.4.2 is the lease to the Mackay Regional Housing Company, Shop 12 in the Dome. So we're right, we're done. Are there questions around this? No questions? Would somebody like to move the adoption? Councillor Englert moves, seconded by Councillor Green. Councillor Englert.
Thank you, Worship. Mackay Regional Housing Company has requested a new lease over Shop 12 with an initial term of 1 year and an option for 2 more. They're a not-for-profit charitable company that provide a range of appropriate and safe affordable housing options for those people who are marginalised. The officers have found that this represents an advantageous outcome for both the community and council, so I commend the motion.
Thank you. Speaker against? Are there any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. Thank you. 11.4.3 is the contractual arrangement for the tendering exemption for the ICT, specialised and sole supplier arrangements. It's quite a lengthy agenda item with all of those companies listed there. Councillor Bonaventura, do you wish to exercise the same?
No, Your Worship.
Council
As a matter of expediency, I'll leave the room and allow the council to take on the vote.
We can do the same thing.
Yeah, no,
because it's the same sort of declarable.
yeah, no,
Okay,
happy to leave the room.
Thank you. Councillor Bonaventura has vacated the room for this decision. So the purpose of the report, of course, is to seek the resolution that a nominated information ICT supplier, as deemed in this list here, is done in accordance with section 235 of the LGA. There's no questions. Would somebody like to move the...
I just have a question in relation to the matter. That isn't Councillor Bonaventura supposed to state what his declarable interest is?
He has said that it's a declarable interest. Yes, did we have that?
It's a sports foundation.
It's North Queensland Sports Foundation.
North Queensland Sports Foundation, okay.
He's on the board as a
He's on the board as a council rep, yeah, that's, okay. So we'll just note that in the minutes,
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so if there's no further questions, would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Englert moves, Councillor Mann seconds, Councillor Englert.
Thank you, Worship. As you've said, Your Worship, there are a vast number of software programs that we use in this organisation to maintain continuity of organisations' efforts to deliver to the community. We believe it's in the best interest of the community to maintain our current agreements in the interest of continuity. If we were to go out to tender for all of these things, it may end up with foreseeable disruption to services. So I believe the officers have done a good job in assessing that on this occasion we need to consider continuity in the interest of the community, and I commend the motion.
Speaker against? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Thank you. I'll ask Councillor Bonaventura to come back in. Thank you, Councillor Bonaventura. The motion was carried.
Thank you.
There's no petitions to receive today, councillors. We move on to item 13, which is tenders. We have a tender to consider, number 53990, the Willits Road Shared Pathway and Pedestrian Bridge. Director, do you want to speak to this at all? Is there anything?
Yeah, I can give a little bit of background to councillors.
That would be good.
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, we have received competitive tenders for this piece of work. It's a significant piece of work, both involving shared pathways and also prefabricated bridge and woodwalk units. We did get good responses from the tenders. However, the tenders have come in higher than expected, particularly on that prefabricated bridge and boardwalk unit. So a little bit surprising to us because we have been, I suppose, monitoring the market and the rates and keeping tabs with that. But indications are that it's certainly going to be quite high for that particular unit, and that was consistent across the board with the tenders we saw come in. We did get a little bit of increase across some of the other rates that we have reported before to council that things are sort of a little bit, I suppose, volatile in the market, but that would have been absorbed by the usual sort of contingencies that we have in the project budget. But this particular unit leaves us no option but to go ahead with the request for additional funds for this project. The other, I suppose, pressing matter is that it is linked to funding, and the funding is the December 31st deadline, so already we are pressed for time and can't wait really for the next budget review that would happen in September and not come to you until October. So yeah, that's a little bit of background as to the situation, I guess, with that tender, Your Worship.
Thank you. So noting that it's $375,000 in the red on this particular one, there's 10% contingency, there's $124,000 of internal costs involved in that budget overrun. So CEO, it's a rock and a hard place for the funding. Do you think we can, well, it looks like we'll be able to make it up easy in the September budget review. Is there anything else you put on the table for this one?
Oh, I know, just reiterate what the Director, I think that the market's quite volatile at the moment, so we did have a look and do a hold on a project like this, but I'm not sure that if we hold for 12 or 18 months, we're going to get any different outcomes. So the recommendation is to proceed. We'll review the September quarterly budget review to see if there's a net impact of zero in relation to the overall capital increase at that time.
Okay, are there questions? No questions? Right, would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Jones moves, seconded by Councillor Mann. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Your Worship. Look, it is really pleasing to see that this project is going ahead. I had residents contact me last year to say that there was a missing link and it was a huge safety concern. It is disappointing to see that it's going to be over budget, but nonetheless, I and the community are very pleased that we're able to make this safer for our walking families who frequent the Goose Ponds area, and they will now not have to walk on the road once the project is complete. So it's a great advantage, as we know that they're walking on the road. It's a very skinny road. It can be very, very dangerous. So I'm pleased that we're able to approve this today and allow the project to go ahead. Thank you, Your Worship.
Speaker against? Any other speakers? Put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. There's no notified motions. There's nobody in the public gallery to participate. And late business. Any items of late business? Councillor May.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I'd just like to draw our attention to World Suicide Prevention Day, which is this Friday, and the event that's happening at Wake House Australia, the Wake Park over in Endergrove there. I think it's something that we need to raise awareness about, and as you know, Mr Mayor, yourself and the other regional mayors from the Greater Whitsunday region have formed a task force to see if all of the councils can assist in suicide prevention. We had our co-design workshop, which was participated really, really well by around 90 odd people. And we're just in the process of finalising that report and bringing a presentation back to the Council of Mayors on the 21st of October. So I think it's really timely that it is World Suicide Prevention Day on Friday, and if you would like to attend that event, Wake House is the place to be.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Councillor May. Any other items of late business? Just advise the council that our meeting was held in Proserpine yesterday, which had the three mayors, the three CEOs, the board of Mackay Tourism and the board of Whitsunday Tourism. And it was designed to bring a collegiate approach to the tourism opportunities that we are living with at the moment, particularly the ones that have been exacerbated by COVID, and that's the domestic tourism opportunity. And so it was a very, very good meeting, the outcome of which was the formation of a small strategic committee, which will involve the three councils and the two boards, with an idea of working collaboratively on strategies that will gain us some traction in what is a very busy market and market the region as a whole to everybody's benefit. So it was a very productive meeting in Proserpine yesterday. There's no further items of late business. There's no confidential reports. Thank you very much. Councillor England.
Sorry, Your Worship. I might add then, as you brought it up, to thank yourself, the Mayor of Whitsunday Regional Council and the Mayor of Isaac for bringing those two boards together. As you mentioned, it was an outstanding, there was outstanding outcomes with a good road to the future, and to have the three CEOs and the three mayors there supporting that, I think is why it was so successful. So thank to you and the other two mayors for attending.
Thanks, Councillor England. So if there's no further late business, there's no confidential reports. So thank you very much, councillors. Thank you very much, Acting CEO. Thank you, directors. Declare the meeting closed.